It's another episode of the Church Solutions Podcast, episode 414. And my name is Phil Thompson.
And my name is Michael Gray.
Michael Gray is with us today as Steve Lacy. We gave him the day off. So he didn't really get the day off. He's doing other stuff. But we're going to talk today about uh, go where the people are going. And we're going to talk about social media. And we got some great content here that you really ought to I think it will help you a lot. So, but before we do that, before we get into today's topic, Michael, we have a webinar coming up,
We
and
do?
yeah, we do. I know, and it's January 16th. So depending on when people hear this, I mean this podcast will be released really quickly here. So there'll be plenty of time for people if they subscribe to the Church Solutions podcast and get it and listen to it before the 16th. You can sign up at webinar.streamingchurch.tv. But anyhow, before I say to sign up, the webinar is called what is it called? We always change the names of these things, and we try to get them as
Well,
long as possible.
yeah, the longer the possible, the longer the better. Yeah.
uh, so the basics of live streaming. I don't know if that's the official title, but that's really what it's all about. The
It
basics
is.
of
Yeah.
live streaming.
Yeah.
Uh,
What
all,
are those fundamental functional components
yeah,
that you need to understand in order to stream your services live?
yeah, and
That's the
we
title, actually. That's actually the title. No, it isn't.
we
It is.
couldn't fit it. But I will say this: even though we're kind of talking about the basics, even if you've been streaming for a while, we'd encourage you to check it out because there's probably
Yep.
some stuff that you might get something out of for this. And we are going to cover a lot of stuff, and we're going to try to do it in about 30 minutes, and then have a live Q&A. And we're going to talk about hardware, software, even lighting. We'll touch on some of this stuff, presentation
Mhm.
software. We'll talk about microphones. I mean, some of that we're not going to get into a lot of detail with, but it's meant to kind of help you, enlighten you a little bit, and we're always going to be available even after the webinar to talk about more details about some of the stuff.
Yep.
So sign up at webinar.streamingchurch.tv, and for some reason you're listening to this a year down the road, you can still go to webinar.streamingchurch.tv because there'll be a link for past webinars
Yep.
on that page. And so you can see some of the other webinars we did. We did like 11 or 12 webinars last year. I guess we did 11 last
Yep.
year.
Yeah. Something like
And
that.
yeah, and we've done stuff even before that. So there's webinars that can help you with your church and resources, not just all streaming stuff, some other stuff as well. So anyhow, got that out of the way. That's January 16th. That's 12 noon Eastern time, webinar.streamingchurch.tv. So let's jump into today's content. We're going to talk about social media. And I don't know about you. Well, you, Mike, really have tons and tons more experience than I do with social media. Although we're doing it here at Streaming Church, you did it for
Sure.
the church you were with. I did a little bit of it for the church I was with, and it's when you first start, it's kind of fun and exciting, but then it's like, oh, what do I do? What am I going to do now? And those kind of things. What do I post about now? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So hopefully get some great ideas for you if you're posting on social media, or for the people that are involved in your church posting social media. So let's jump into it, shall we? Let me get my glasses.
Sounds good.
See, so if you're following at home, if you're keeping score at home, you can always go to blog.streamingchurch.tv. Another link that you can remember, blog.streamingchurch.tv. And you can keep score at home here with the notes, because I have the notes here, and there's a few things that Mike's going to add that aren't in the notes that I'll try to get to later. But there's several goals. First of all, let me say this. And I say this a lot when it comes to social media and a lot of things. If you look at the scriptures and you look at Jesus and his disciples and even the people in the Old Testament, they always gathered, for the most part, where the people were. They always gathered where people were gathering, and they were there because they wanted to reach people and connect with people. So they went to the synagogues, they went to the different marketplaces, they went to different areas where people were gathered. And so here we are in 2024, and where are people gathering?
Well,
right?
let's see. Let's see. Instagram,
Yeah,
Twitch.
Twitch is one of
Uh,
them. Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of places that people gather, and
Facebook.
they may have a very different demographic in each one of them,
Yeah,
but there's a large quantity of people gathering on a lot of platforms.
yeah, yeah. I need to make sure we're in speaker mode here. So people are gathering on social media, and anywhere from Facebook to X to, as you just said, even LinkedIn.
Yep.
They're out there. There's lots of things. I have a friend that's a musician that she uses Twitch as her platform. So that's the only time I ever go to it if I want to watch
hmm
her
Sure.
and Peter play music. But yeah, so social media is where people are. So you want to try to connect with social media. And I would say, as I have in the notes here, that there are some you can categorize maybe what you want to accomplish by going to these different places. One of them is to build community and engagement. Another one is to inspire and uplift and encourage people. You want to be able to promote events and programs, and there's things to keep in mind. So the first thing I've got here in the notes, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is you can to build community and engagement with your community, with your church. And I know you're going to talk about your bigger community, the city where you live or whatever, but first thing I've got here is, you can always post recent events, like from recent events, like what? Photos, videos of your church services, youth group activities, and community outreach activities. And you want to do that because that kind of builds a connection there with other people in your church and who are on social media, right? So you want to let people know what's going on. So that's one of the things you want to build and community and engage. Am I
Yep.
right on that so far?
Very much so. I would add one caution there. Make sure your church has a policy for social media about who can and can't be on camera.
Oh, okay.
Legally, there are some areas that you can't venture into, but morally, there are some other areas that you may want to say, okay, only this age group and not this age group, or whatever that may be for your church.
Okay. So that's when you're posting images or videos or whatever.
Videos and
Yeah.
images,
Okay.
who's in it, but it's very attractive. I mean, if you see an event online, you see a bunch of faces, your eyes are immediately drawn to it,
Right.
and you go, "Ooh, do I know those people?" And "Ooh, it looks like they're having fun. I want to do that."
Yeah. So in that category of building community and engagement, so definitely do that. And you could do video clips. In fact, we may as well get into this real quick to do some self glossing here. But at streamingchurch.tv, uh, which it's a great company. I know a lot of people that work there. Um, I'm being funny here because it's our company, but we have a tool that we're calling a sermon clipper that will actually take sermons and messages and using AI can actually bring those things down to bring an hour long sermon or whatever and have different clips that you can use using AI to post on social media. You're familiar with that, right?
Yeah, just little brief video clips for reels or shorts or whatever your platform calls it. They're usually portrait, and they're under 30 seconds or under a minute, depending on the platform. They all vary. But short videos that says, "Oh, this catches my attention. Uh, Here's the link to hear the rest of the sermon."
Yeah. And the bottom line here is that, we're in this age where people don't want to sit there and uh, really listen to the whole sermon necessarily on social media. I mean, they might be
Sure.
attracted to the topic and go there later to your website.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's why these reels and these shorts that we're using this terminology, basically just short videos, are so attractive today because
Yep.
we live like it or love it. We or love it or hate it. There's people out there that don't have a lot of attention span, and well, squirrel. And so one of those things is,
Yep.
when you post something short like that, you'll get some eyes on it, right? You'll get some
Yep.
views. And then if it is something that's a topic that can be, really strike a chord with somebody, they can, you can direct them back to your website. And we beat this drum a lot, but we really believe here at streamingchurch.tv that your website really should be your hub. You should be pointing
Yeah.
people to your
Yeah.
website.
For years, as I taught social media, I always taught your website's your hub. Everything else is out here pointing at the hub, because that's the place where you have control. You can build it so that it accomplishes the goal that you want to accomplish. And if that happens to be to build in community engagement, then you're sending them back to videos and links and content and everything else that's on the website.
So we were shamelessly promoting ourselves with a sermon clipper, but whatever tool you use, if you
Yeah.
don't go with us, your videos probably should be short clips, whether you do it
Yep.
manually or there's other AI
Yeah.
stuff out there now that will allow you to do that. Okay, so those kind of things will really help. Asking questions if you post something, maybe run a contest or a giveaway, maybe.
Yep.
You could spotlight members, maybe share stories of people in your church community who are making a difference, who are really living out their faith in inspiring words. But you want to engage people. When I first started doing this ages ago, it was always like, okay, here's what we got going on. You'd post something, and then that was it. There was not
Yeah.
really any engagement. There was no interactivity. So the bottom line is you definitely want to have interactivity. You want to create opportunities for people to interact.
Yep. Yeah. It's if you only promote your events, etc., then you're like a business that keeps just shouting, "Buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff," and people just tune that up. They're like, "Yeah, I don't need to hear that." Engage me, and then move into the next topic, which is inspire and uplift. Uh, I, I can't imagine a church not being inspiring and uplifting.
Well, hopefully, I mean, you and I have been around the block a little bit, and there are some churches out there that I would say maybe aren't really inspiring sometimes, but we
Well,
don't want to go. We don't
well,
want to
they
go
don't
there.
appear to be, or they don't communicate, is the important piece. Sometimes they don't communicate as if they are inspiring and uplifting.
Yeah. You don't want to always be posting bad news or, we're in
Nope.
the end times and, whatever. I mean, I understand there's maybe a place for that depending on what you're trying to do, but you really want to encourage people, inspire them, and uplift them. So,
Yeah.
you can do that by what? You can share, obviously, scripture quotes, daily little scriptures you can share. You can post devotional messages. Oh, wait, here's something else we can self-gloss. We can talk about, we have a tool when it comes to devotional messages. We have, speaking of shouting out who we are here, but we do have a nice little tool that you can use with streamingchurch.tv that will take a
Yeah.
sermon. It'll take a sermon, and from that sermon, it will actually create devotionals
Yeah. Yeah.
from that sermon,
Yeah.
and it will
So
do. Go
imagine.
ahead. No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go
It
ahead.
just
Go ahead.
popped into my head. If I was in the pastor seat, like you and I had been for years, one of the great tools would be to take that devotional tool and create a devotional for the week. And then as the pastor, I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to break it into 6 pieces. And each day of the week, I'm going to give you another piece of that devotional. And all of it's pointing back to last week's sermon. Last week's sermon, we talked about forgiveness or whatever the topic is. And so each day you've got a piece of content tied to a devotion that's on your website. And you're saying, and today we're going to talk about step 2 in forgiveness or whatever that might be, and the scripture text that you're using. And it's all automated for you. You can do so many things with that tool once you have that content.
Yeah, and you can it creates transcripts, so you can just post the transcripts, or
Yep.
you put a voice to it. You could put a voice
Yes.
to it. And here's where we
Yep.
get controversial. Let's get controversial today in the Church Solutions podcast. You could, if you wanted to, you could clone your pastor's voice
Yeah,
And that could now some people are fine with that, some aren't. Or you could use a different voice
sure.
that's provided for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mr. or Mrs. Bible study voice, and they're doing it for you every week. And it could be fairly easy to put then on your website and promote. Hey, here's a follow up. You want to go deeper on this week's sermon topic? Here's a link. Go deeper. 5 things you need to know about uh, joy.
yeah, that's right. And you could even do something with Amazon Alexa has
Yep.
it's a device that allows you to. They have a feature called flash briefing, and I don't use it really much, but you can get your sports flash briefings, you can get your weather flash briefings, you just ask, you set it up so you can get a flash. Well, you could, as a church, you could actually set up your devotionals to play on Amazon Alexa. And
Yep.
your
Yep.
members,
My church does. They have 365 days of daily devotional on Amazon Alexa. So I can go and tell uh, that woman with the A word. I'm not going to say it because my device will act up and start making noise.
oh yeah,
Uh, Tell her to play your flash briefing, and if you have it set up, it'll just fire it off and give you that daily devotional from your church.
yeah. So they're still doing that. So
And
Alive
that's
Church is your church. So I guess anybody
yeah,
listening to this podcast, if they want to set it up with their Amazon Alexa device, they would look for a live church flash briefing, right? And they could get it
yeah,
just to see
yeah,
what it's like.
yeah. Not only that, as whoever your church is, I'm not. I want to go back to promoting ourselves. The devotional tool has the ability to publish that to Alexa for you, so that's built in. We can help you with that part and automate that part for you. But think in terms, get creative, and think in terms of how can I use these sermons to do a whole lot more during the week and during the month, and Bible studies and life groups and all of those things that you can use as follow up to yeah, a great amount of hours you invested into a sermon.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the whole point. So regardless of what we're saying here, put some stuff in there. You can use uh these kind of tools. You can do it manually or you can use somebody else's stuff. But the bottom line is you can inspire and uplift people as one of your goals when it comes to really using social media to encourage people. And yeah, we can always talk to you about that. But testimonies, inspirational stories, people's faith journeys, those kind of
Mhm.
things, acts of kindness, all those
Yeah.
things can be done. And again, we could certainly help you with some of that. All right, so let's just kind of crank on through here. So you can also use social media for your church to promote events and programs. And you mentioned this before we started to record here. Now, when I wrote this blog, what I put in here was more stuff that I was thinking of our church events and maybe even behind the scenes stuff with
Sure.
the church,
Sure.
which,
Sure.
which a lot of people don't see. You could do behind the scenes and you
Yeah.
could post social media to either video of behind the scenes or different things like that. But you also mentioned that, your community as a whole, your greater community where you live is important. So elaborate a little bit on that, would you?
Well, a great strategy for a church is, as we should be, serving our local community. Doesn't have to be just the people walking in the door. If I live in a city, if I live in, let's say I live in Lubbock, Texas, because I did live near that for a while. So many news outlets are posting events and events and events and events. You can cherry pick through those and share those and promote those events. Again, it's got to be stuff that doesn't disagree with what you believe, etc. But there's a lot of opportunities to share community events. And then you become the go-to that people say, hey, that church over there is always promoting the school events and everything else in and around their community they are very selfless, and that seem to be a little bit more like Christ, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Selfless, serving, and promoting, not expecting anything back. If somebody promotes you back, that's a bonus. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do and being selfless.
Absolutely. And then there's other, maybe some other nonprofit agencies out there as well that are
Oh
doing a lot of
yeah.
good stuff that you
Yeah,
can
you
also
know, we
promote.
had several partners, Phil, that we always felt that if somebody in the community is doing it better than we could do it, then we're just going to partner with them, and we're going to just promote the heck out of them on social media and newsletter, everything else that we have, because uh, promote who's doing it well and killing it. If they're feeding the hungry and clothing the hungry and helping people get jobs or whatever that is, promote that. Promote it often, because your community needs help, and you're connecting the dots to the people who are providing that help.
So things like the food bank, community food bank in your community,
Absolutely, yeah,
they do a good job in many communities, helping the homeless, with
absolutely.
like maybe Salvation Army. I know here in Tucson, Salvation Army is real involved. There's other things here in Tucson as well.
Yep.
So promote those people and
Yeah.
encourage those people. Uh, but that you can use that for your social media. So really, there's lots of content out there that if you sit down and really kind of think about it, you won't feel so overwhelmed when you're trying to figure out, well, what do I post today? There's actually more stuff out there that you could do. So speaking of posting stuff on social media, I mean, you've done this for years. It was your deal. How often should a church post on social media?
Well, it depends on the channel. If you're on Facebook, a couple, 2, 3 times a day. Same with Instagram. If you're on Twitter and you really want to be successful, like 10 times a day. I mean,
So
it doesn't
Twitter
have to
being
be
X.
giant pieces of X. I'm
X.
sorry. It'll
I'm
take
always,
me forever to
yeah,
change,
I'm always
because
going to
I've
call
been
it
a
Twitter, but yeah, it's
uh,
X. Go ahead. Yeah.
Twitter is
So,
what I started on years and years ago. So
right,
it's
right.
changing that lingo is going to take me a minute.
So that sounds like a lot. I mean, that seems a little overwhelming if you haven't done this much. So maybe just kind of start small and work your way up. Maybe choose
Yes,
a
yeah, yeah. Walk
platform.
before you run. Don't
Yeah.
overwhelm yourself. Walk before you run. Put some content out. Whatever you get interactivity and bunches of likes off of,
Yeah.
reproduce that, more of that. But every platform is different, and you can Google very easily how many times should I post on this platform, YouTube a day, whatever that may be, or how many times YouTube may be once a week for you, or it may be if you're actually posting posts on YouTube, you could do that daily or every other day or something like that. But lots of professionals giving you their opinion on how many times a day you should post, but don't be overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
Get started and walk before you run.
And I would say also, and I've got this in the notes, the things to keep in mind, tailor your content to your specific audience. So you want to consider your church's demographics, some of the interests that your church may have, some of the platforms that that you know for a fact that your members are on, are important as well. Uh, and you want to really use the language and the visuals that really reflect who you are as a church, your
Hmm.
personality, your values as a church. And I think, as you were saying, whatever you do, I think it needs to be on a regular basis. It's got to be consistent, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Whatever you do, be consistent.
Hmm.
That's always, to me, one of the biggest measures of success, or things that lead to success, I should say, is your
Yeah.
consistency. Whatever it is you do, be consistent at it. And what about tracking? I mean, we don't talk much about this. Uh, you know, Tracking your results. Uh, that should help you a little bit, right? In determining what's working and what's not.
Yeah, almost all of the platforms provide you with some kinds of analytics to say, here's your top 5 posts, or the posts that are doing got the most likes or got the most comments. That data is very important, and it should help you shape your message so that you reproduce more of the stuff that people are loving, and uh, and then continue to adapt based on the real-time information you're getting off of social media channels.
Yeah. I think that, when all, if you're sitting here and you're thinking, oh, this seems a little overwhelming for me, I think the biggest thing about it is it's again, it goes back to consistency, and I think scheduling too. I mean, I think you
Yes.
really, I have a time of prayer and meditation that I do every morning. It's part of my routine. It's a routine
Hmm.
that I've started.
Hmm.
The things I do here at streamingchurch.tv, a lot of it is routine. I have calendars. You and I both have calendars. We have a thing we call Asana, which is a software you can use to, kind of let everybody knows what everybody's doing, and there's goals and there's deadlines and those kind of things. I think that when it comes to social media, you want to be consistent, and you want to schedule, and you want to stick to that schedule on a regular basis.
Bill, I used to tell businesses that I worked with social media that exact thing, but there's a bigger piece to it. Everybody's going to jump in at the beginning because, oh, it's the thing you have to do. Everybody has to do it, and they jump in and they post for 3 months and then they're done. And the folks that are really going to win the day and really find success are those folks that just keep coming at it. Keep coming at it. Don't give up. Don't stop. And use modern tools for scheduling and creation that are available at your fingertips. I was doing some this morning, and I was going to give that tip, by the way, Phil. So go to ChatGPT
Okay.
or to one of the other free AI tools and tell it, act as a professional social media person for a church and give me 5 examples of a social media post for this event, and then give the details for the event, hit enter. And within that, I promise you, you'll be shocked at how good of a post, if you create the right content. And then as you look at it, you can say, change this, or make it a little more exciting, or make it more relational, or you can continue to adapt those posts to where you get something that's perfect that you really want to say. And we're talking 30 seconds of input to get some really great content. And we have some tools for that as well. If you look at the blog, we have 20 AI tips for churches. Some of that's there, but not in that detail. I'm giving you a juicy one. Always start with act as a, and fill in the blank what you want the kind of person, professional person to be, and then tell it what you want. Give me 10 posts about events in, my city, or whatever that may be. But the more detail you can give it, think of it as an intern that's working for you and it's bringing back information. You say, no, not that, give me that. Nope, a little bit more like this. And you'll be astonished at how quick and easy it provides you great content. For copywriters, I think it's the best thing ever to help them with ideas. You don't have to use the language there. You can craft it in your own words, but it's quick. And I've got a way better post than I would have trying to brainstorm and constantly come up with new ideas.
So using AI, Chat GPT, but there's also Bard out there.
Yep, Bard
Uh,
and
there's
Claude.
Claude's another
Um,
one.
yeah, all 3 of those are free. You can sign up for the free versions of
Yeah.
them, and they all vary in how they present content. Sometimes I really like to use Bard, because it's very often will automatically give you 3 different options for what you ask for.
Yeah.
The rest, you may have to ask them to give you 3 to 5 to 10 to whatever many you need ideas. But great tools, use them, and make yourself look like a pro.
Yeah, and I use when I do the blog, I'll dump the blog in Bard and say, give me some titles you know,
Yeah.
doing some blog
Oh,
titles.
yeah.
And
Yeah. For titles, it's great.
if you look at
Yep.
our blog, at blog.streamingchurch.tv, you can see probably the titles of our blogs have improved over the last several months
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
5 things to do to, you know, some actually more creative stuff. So yeah, so some great tools out there that you can use that can help you do what you do. And real quick, we're running out of time here, but there is software you can use that will automatically go to certain social media platforms, right?
Yep. Yeah. Hootsuite, later. There are many publishing that you can schedule
Yeah.
to where you don't have to go to every platform individually to post. However, there is a caveat. Organic content on the social channel is always rewarded by that social media company, versus if you're publishing from a tool, it's not going to get as much leverage and action as if you posted there organically. So you've
Really?
got to decide, do I have the time to post on each one, or I don't have the time and I need to put out content no matter what. So let's use a scheduling tool and crank through it.
Okay, interesting. Good stuff. All right. Well, we're out of time here. So go where the people are. Reaching people with social media. That's been our topic today. Thank you, Michael Gray, for contributing. Always good.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, always good. And folks, subscribe to the Church Solutions podcast if you have not, and never miss a podcast. And you can always check us out at, you know, just go to streamingchurch.tv/resources, and you'll see lots of things we have, including the blog and the podcast and webinars coming up. Like we have a webinar coming up January 16th on streaming video. Check us out. And the reason we're talking about all this is we want to help you. That's really what we're in it for. We're in it to help you, your church, your ministry. And if we can do that in some way, then that helps. That will help the message of God's love go out, right? So that's the whole purpose of this. All right. So thanks for your time, everybody. We appreciate it. Catch us again on another episode of the Church Solutions podcast for Michael Gray and Steve Lacy, who's not here today, but we'll be back soon. I'm Phil Thompson. Please take care of yourselves and each other.